Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. I am your host, Rudy Segura, and today we bring you a new installment of Orange Talk as we are joined by Houston Dynamo 2 head coach Marcelo Santos. Marcelo, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Rudy. It's a pleasure to be with you guys.
Before we get too far into the hard questions, you've been in Houston for a little while now. Maybe what's one of the thing about the city that you've really come to enjoy, whether it's food, culture, or the people, Marcelo?
Yeah, absolutely. The diversity for me, it's something that I really enjoy. Coming from Brazil, a big country, you get that a lot. Friends, even family, people from all over the country. And I learned to admire the difference of people, and I think you get to hear. In terms of food and the weather, it's also a bonus. So far, it's been a great year that my family is getting used to. The kids are enjoying the school, made friends right away. So a lot of good things. Really, really appreciate my time so far.
You mentioned family a little bit, but away from soccer, which I know for you guys, as head coach especially, it's probably in your head 24/7. But how do you like to spend your time, away from it and recharge?
Yeah, I think that's the thing I mentioned about the weather. I was in New England before here and Wisconsin before that, and you have 4 or 5 months that you get the chance to be outside, enjoy the time with the family. But here, year round, you can do that. We are fortunate to have a pool, so a lot of the times you just at home, but your mind is with the family, and that is super important for us, thinking about other people all the time and being the stress of winning and losing. And I think it's important to get your mind away and enjoy people that you love.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the weather's getting much nicer, so you're able to see more people out and about just because it's not 100-degree weather anymore. But um, going into this Sunday's match, Marcelo against Tacoma, it's a must win for you guys if for the playoffs hopes, depending obviously in results around the league. But how do you keep the team focused on what they can control in this situation like this?
Yeah, I think we try to use the same approach we're going to use for Sunday's match in the last 4 or 5 games. We were in a situation that, it was a must win for us all those games. And we were fortunate that some teams lost and that Tacoma loss didn't affect us as much. But in a way, prepare us to focus on this match in the same fashion. We have played well for quite a while. I am pretty happy how we are growing and how we're finishing the season. I think we got 4 wins if you count the St. Louis one, which we tied and won a shutout as a win. In the last 5 games, we had four. So I think we just need to focus on what's working for us. We have a healthy team for now, and we know it's going to be very difficult to play away in Tacoma, but we like our chances. We play a good match not too long ago against them at home, so we're gonna try to give them as much as they can handle.
Yeah, I guess, what would be your main message to the players? I think it's, everybody seems to understand that it's an important game, but how do you help them not necessarily fall into bigger pressure on themselves, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, I told them, like I said, the message is not going to be this different than before. And I told them that the pressure was on us. And I said, if we have the skill to deal with that, I said, there's a cliche, pressure builds diamonds, right? And if we are ready to deal with that pressure, I think it can get the most of us, get us prepared, use emotion in the right way, right? Obviously, if the pressure is too steep and we don't have the skill to do that, it can also kill us, right? So in the last few games, I thought that pressure make the team be more concentrated, give a little bit more effort, and obviously finish the chances that we need. So that's what we're going to look to do. Is tell the guys, listen, don't shy away from pressure. If you wanted to stay in this career for a long time, you're going to have to learn to deal with those things. And even during the match, if it's getting away from you, you need to refocus and continue to do the best you can.
Tacoma, very familiar foe for you guys, and you mentioned, just recently play them. What kind of challenges maybe those that even bring, knowing that you played them recently, and how do you want your team to approach this matchup, after
Yeah.
you just faced them recently?
Yeah, it's interesting because Tacoma has changed coaches not a long time ago, and they went in a losing streak right before they played us. I think they were in a 4-game losing streak, and then they changed the formation. They were down with 3 starters the game against us, and we play a really good game. At the end, we felt like we're pushing, and they were defending for most of the match, but they got the win, right? So now you watch the last 2 games, they didn't do that necessarily. They play in terms of a formation, a system in a similar way, but they went back to some of the things they want to do. They're a team that don't really press really high, but they wanted to play, right? Against us, they didn't play a lot. They did defending, but we think over there it's going to be what they are more comfortable with. So our idea is to disrupt them. So we have to be the protagonist of the game and try to create a chance and sometimes force chance. And obviously they have at least one player that have 15 goals, one of the lead goal scorer in the league. And we need to be aware. He had a goal against us, and we need to do a better job with that.
And I wanted to take a little time, and kind of, get a little bit of a reflection of the season. I know it's not over. There's definitely a game and a chance of, playoffs. But Marcelo, looking back on the season as a whole, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned? Maybe both positive that you're proud of, and then some challenges you want to grow as well from.
Yeah. No, I learned a lot. This is I've been assistant coach for most of my career, and coming over here, I knew my role was much more um, empowering the people around me, and not just the staff, but also the player. As assistant, you think about how you carry on vision a lot of the times from the coach and for the club. So a lot of times you're not necessarily thinking about other people. You're just trying to do the best you can. As a coach, this is very apparent that you need people around you to help. And I'm very fortunate to have the staff I had, people that knew the club, knew the academy, and they helped me a lot. Also, people that bought in the idea that I brought in. So pretty happy with that. Obviously, with the change of the coach, the squad early in the year wasn't fully developed. We had to play with a lot of young players, and in a lot of ways, we learned that some of them were ready to do it, and some of them were not. So that's some of the stuff that I learned from. Maybe for year 2, have a little bit of a base or a better base to allow those youngsters to continue to grow, but not necessarily put in situations that maybe it's too early for them. So those are definitely learning points for me. Obviously, our team throughout the season changed a lot. I think you remember in the beginning of the season, we had Felipe and Pedro and Diego, guys, they were outstanding. And Pedro continued, and he played a fantastic year. I think he's probably going to be a good contender for goalkeeper of the year. But the other two, it was too big of a hole to fill, right? And I think that's part of the second team environment, that you're going to have those things. And I think in a lot of ways we dealt very well, but that's something that I don't want to take for granted. I wanted to make sure, year 2 and beyond, we continue to take the most of, those things that change pretty frequently in a second team environment.
Yeah, and obviously we get the opportunity to talk to you. I'm very grateful for that. And one of the things, or my biggest takeaways, when we do get to talk with you, it's how passionate you are with player development. And There's a player, obviously Brooklyn Reigns, spent the last 3 years coming through the Dynamo system. I know you didn't necessarily get a big opportunity to be the head coach for him, but now he's a starter in the first team, and he's representing the U.S. in the U20 World Cup. How does his story inspire players currently in Dynamo 2 and maybe even the younger academy kids?
Yeah, I think that gives a belief, right? When you can see and you can dream, and some of those stories actually happen in front of your eyes, I think you don't need more motivation than that, you know. Sometimes people believe in things that is just from maybe their upbringings or how their mentality is. It's out of nothing, and they just believe, and you know, sometimes a little bit like religious. But when you have good examples in front of you, I think that's the best motivation for young guys. I think for Steph and for the club, you know, obviously US beating France yesterday 3-0 and, Brooklyn score a goal. I was around some people in the club and you can see like people are really proud of his opportunities here and to be able to perform like that in a big stage. It's not for everybody. So we're happy that Brooklyn is having this opportunity.
I know in the past we've asked you, and you tend to answer with names. Not that we need names by any means. I think people that follow Dynamo 2 and the academy, they know who some of those players are. But, are there any players, within the squad or coming up that you feel can take, this type of big steps, in their development? Like Brooklyn Reigns, like Sebastian Rodriguez, like those type of players. How strong is that pipeline looking like in your
Yeah.
eyes?
I think it's bright. You know, obviously we're leading the league in academy minute players, uh, and it's by a large amount. Um, I think guys like Di Morelli, you know, Di Morelli has 4 goals and 3 assists as a 2009. He might, you know, don't quote me on that, but I think he might be leading in goals, or maybe Calvin Sullivan is maybe a goal in front of him. So he's one. Daniel Barrett, I think he's leading the whole league in minutes played by academy player. Um, but you have, you know, Isaac, and then you have younger guys that, you know, Matt Arana. You know, he started the last game against Tacoma, and we planned for him to play 45 minutes to continue his development, and he showed in that game how capable he is. So he's definitely another one to keep on. But you know, with the list I could go on and on. You know, that's why it's sometimes unfair. You know, because even guys like Noah Betancourt and Enrique Correa, guys they already signed, but they're still super young. You know, we have guys that are even outside the academy. You know, like Nico, Nico Ramos that just joined the team. Like our team is super young, and I think we're very happy that we represent Houston and the community. I just hope that they continue the process, because obviously one thing is for you to have a good year as a profession. The other thing is for you to have year after year after year. And that's what we're hoping that those guys can get there.
I want to ask you a little bit about, your own, coaching philosophy and growth. On a personal level, Marcelo, what have you learned about yourself as a coach this season?
Yeah, you know, one of the things I was envisioned to have the head coach role for quite a few years. Felt I was ready. And one of the things that in my mind, because the coach that work that got the most out of me is to trust people and to empower them. And that's one of the things that I try to do here. Obviously, sometimes you have the right intention, but it doesn't come in the right way. But I told right from the beginning that that was what I wanted to do. And I think I was able to carry on. But you learn through the year that maybe the message can be delivered in a different way. Maybe some stuff that you planning to be one way, he carried in a different way because of the pressure of the moment or the situation. So you always look back and try to reflect, and I will definitely do that when the season is done. Because the idea is, you know, you're serving people, you're serving the club, and people know when you're genuine about them. Obviously I have goals, but I'm in a position that I want to help people, and I'm very satisfied when they accomplish their goals, and that's what I think this position is for.
And I know I would say every coach, but honestly, every person is always looking for people to learn from. So, are there any certain coaches, whether famous or not, who have influenced your philosophy, Marcelo?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Obviously, you try to learn from a lot of people on the outside. You don't know them a lot, but I would say one person that impacted me a lot is Vanni Sartini. He was the head coach for Vancouver last year. He's a big mentor, someone that I have a good relationship with, not only about the game, but helping me understand about myself. I felt growing up a lot of the times I was different than some people that I know, coaches and whatnot. And Vani helped me feel like it was okay to be who I am, and in a lot of ways empower me to continue my search to find myself. And I think that's the path I am today, and I'm very grateful for the relationship and the guide from him.
Awesome. And I guess if you could describe your coaching style in a few words, obviously we've seen you throughout, the entire season, but how would you describe your coaching style and what would it be?
Yeah. Yeah, I want players that are empowered to do their job. That's a simple way of saying I appreciate the players that have the ability to be adaptable. I obviously, coming from Brazil, I want the team to have the ball and take ownership of the game. But I have to understand as a coach that I have to coach the people in front of me. It's not about what I like, what I am as a coach. So I always going to try to influence them to become a little bit of that, but maybe they're not ready to move as fast as I would like. And then sometimes you have to adjust your framework to get the most of the people in front of you. We had a young team this year, so instead of taking too much risk and lose the ability to be competitive, I accept a lot of times to say, you know what, we can be a very good defensive team, and I think that will allow us to enjoy the game more. And then with time, be more competitive and have the ability to want to have the ball a little more. And I think that's what we became, a little bit more pragmatic, if you will. But I think the game of soccer is about results. And we wanted to play in the right way that we believe can help with growth, but also that get results. I think in any level, that's the job of the coach. So I would say my philosophy is guided through those lanes.
And being with the second team and always working with the first team, I know that, or I'm assuming that a lot of that culture is try to make it all the same throughout. But for you, what kind of culture do you try to create in the locker room with your players and on the pitch?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I was hired here with a clear vision that we wanted to be very much in line with the first team because we have players that go up and down, especially for training. And we don't want the players to have to relearn or feel they're in conflict with some ideas that they see from one team to the other. So I was fortunate in preseason that I spent the whole preseason with the first team and got to learn the staff and the club, what they preach and what's important, and also the players in the first team, what kind of environment they want to uphold, and then pass on to our guys. So I think obviously we want people that have strong qualities, strong characters, because we see nowadays talent. Obviously, at this level, everybody has. Some more, some less, but everybody has talent. And a lot of the times the character and the work ethics that those guys carry with them as professionals are a lot of the times the decisive point. One example is Felipe Andrade. When he came in right in the door, I could see that. That he had as a young professional what it takes to get to the next level, and no surprise he got there. So we want to carry those things into our environment so guys have the best chance of success as they move along their career.
And then is maybe looking at Houston and looking a little bit in the future, what do you hope Marcelo to accomplish with Dynamo 2 next year or the years to come?
Yeah, I think the task is to identify what are the growth that we want for this squad, where we wanted to push the player for year two. We are already having starting conversations. I think we're pretty happy and so I feel like this is a successful season, whether we make the playoff or not, because of the squad we have. But obviously, we can benefit from maybe have a stronger base like we had with Felipe and Diego's, because those young guys like Di Morelli, Daniel Barrett, and others can benefit and learn from people within the team to be a little more hungry, to be a bit more careful, and take the next step because it's not just one good year that's gonna is gonna do it. So I'm just super happy to continue, and that's my goal for this club and for year number two.
And I guess when fans look back at this Dynamos 2's, 2025 season, what do you hope they'll say about this group?
Yeah, that's a really good question because for me, that's really important. I'm very proud that we do have the internationals that are able to make the jump to the first team. I think they bring the culture. I spoke about diversity. I think it's really important for our younger guys to learn from those kind of players as well. But the fact that the majority of our group is from Houston and it's from our academy, I think it makes us really proud because we actually put a lot of time to develop those guys and are doing the right thing for them to have an opportunity. I don't see all the teams in MLS doing that. So I think in terms of the community, they should be really proud. I know there's a lot of talks that we don't have a lot of Brooklyns in the first team, but I think it's just going to take a matter of time. If we believe in the process and believe that those players are the ones that control their destiny. It's not necessarily us. We wanted to win games in the first team. We wanted to do well and do it right for the community, but those guys have to be ready to be there. And maybe they're not quite there yet. But I'm hopeful that in the next few years, we'll see more and more of those guys breaking in.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that because yeah, I mean, somebody that follows you guys and the academy system, we definitely see a lot of improvement, especially this year. So, good that you guys obviously are seeing it as well. But um, this is just I guess maybe just finishing it here with your final words to the fans. Going into this last match of the regular season, Marcelo.
Yeah, so I really appreciate the support. Thank you guys, Bayou Soccer City, because we can feel that the support to continue to develop the people from Houston is super important to you, and that gives us motivation to continue what we're trying to do. We hope that in the following years even the stadium here becomes even something a little bit bigger. People are proud and supporting us, not just the first team, because eventually they will become first team players, and we feel the connection is much, much stronger than it is right now. So I think that's something that we definitely wanted to improve in the years to come.
Well, thank you once again, Marcelo, for joining us here at Bayou City Soccer. Best of luck this weekend, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, Rudy. Pleasure talking to you.